Hi friends, my name is Laura and I'm going to guide you through a yoga flow. You will need a cushion or pillow, blocks. Yoga blocks are very helpful. If you don't have yoga blocks available to you, you can substitute with books, a chair, something of that nature. If you have any injuries, please work around them. You know your body better than I do. If something hurts, know when to back off out of a posture. As always, with any practice, if your breath becomes labored, strained, or your thoughts become overwhelming, drop to your knees and press back for child's pose. Wherever you are, find yourself in a comfortable seat. Close your eyes and start to bring your awareness into your physical space. Bringing your awareness to the walls around you. Bringing your awareness to the ceiling above you. And start to notice the points of contact you may be making on your mat or the floor. And when you're ready, start to deepen your breath. And you can take an inhale down into your belly, exhale, open mouth. Do that a couple more times, filling up. And releasing. Returning to your natural breath pattern. Notice where you feel your breath the strongest. Thoughts may pop into your head in the background. Acknowledge them and then let them go. They will be there waiting for you after practice. Take your left hand and place it on your belly. Your next inhale, fill up your belly like a balloon. Open mouth. Pull your belly back to your spine. Let's do that a couple more times. And taking your right hand, placing it on your chest, your next inhale fills the belly and then fills the chest and lungs. When you exhale, drop your chest and lungs. Find a tuck of your floating ribs and then pull your belly back to your spine. We're moving into a 2 to 3 part breathing. So separating it out. Go on your own for the next 5 breaths. And start to lengthen your exhales so they're just a little bit longer than your inhales. You can bring your hands down to your knees or the floor. We'll continue breathing just like that. And start to lift through the crown of your head as though you have a string pulling you upwards. And center your shoulders right over your hips. And then let go of any holding on that you may be experiencing in the hip area. And start to iron out the breath, making it less robotic and more fluid. Relaxing in your jaw. Your next inhale, start to squeeze your pelvic floor up and in. This is one of our bandhas, our bonds, our binds. It means to find back whole again. And you have these throughout the body. For right now, we'll be focusing on the pelvic floor. So bringing in awareness there, start to pulse on your inhales. And then continue pulling your belly back to your spine on your exhales. Eventually, we'll start to tap into our Ujjayi breath, the ocean sounding breath. It's a whisper that you hear throughout practice, and it just reminds you that you're here. So it sounds like you're fogging up a glass, but your mouth will be closed. Continuing with your breath. This will be the pace for your practice. When you lose it, again, go back to child's pose. When you're ready, on an inhale, reach your arms overhead. On an exhale, drop your left hand to your right knee. Your right hand can go behind you, either to the floor or a block. Sitting up nice and tall on your inhale. On an exhale, gaze out over your right shoulder. Let go of any tension in your hips. Inhale back to center. Exhale, switch sides. Arms up on an inhale, come back to center. On an exhale, bring your hands to the floor. We're going to move into a forward fold. Try and keep your spine nice and long here. Drop your gaze to the floor. And each time you exhale, you're starting to decrease the space between your belly and your hips. Keep pulling your belly back to your spine. You can eventually drop your head. Walking your hands back in. We'll switch our feet. Whatever was on top is on bottom. And then we'll reach our hands overhead and move into a twist on the right side. Your next inhale, come back to center. On an exhale, switch it out. Dropping your right hand to your left knee, your left hand goes behind. Sitting up nice and tall on your inhale. On an exhale, gaze behind you. Coming back to center. On an exhale, forward fold. Letting go of any tension in your low back. Walking your hands back in and resting them on your knees. We'll drop our chin to our chest and start to move into some neck rolls. Be mindful of your movement. We'll do 3 times on each side. Make sure you're breathing. Resting your chin at your chest. We'll pause here for an inhale. When you're ready, switch the direction. Staying nice and tall in your spine. Relaxing in your jaw. And dropping your chin to your chest. We'll roll our ear over to our right shoulder. This may be enough. If you'd like more, on an inhale, bring your right hand overhead and rest your hand on your left ear or on your head. And dropping your right shoulder out of your ear. We won't be pulling. We'll let the weight of our hand create an opening somewhere along the left side neck. You can stay here or drop your nose towards your right armpit. Just breathing. Releasing your hand, we'll roll our chin back to our chest. Your next exhale, roll your left ear this time over to your left shoulder. And finding out what you need to do on this side to feel complete. And releasing any bind. Rolling your chin back to your chest. And gaze is out in front of you. If you'd like to turn on some music, please do so now. If you like the sound of your breath, that's a great sound to listen to. When you're ready, we'll start to move into a tabletop position. You'll stack your wrist underneath your shoulders. Your knees are underneath your hips. Gaze is down at the floor. Press your index finger and thumb into the ground and then spread your fingers out wide. You're actively pressing down. You can curl your toes here. Core is pulled back to your spine. Start to hug your elbows together, engaged in your triceps. Stay long in your neck. When you're ready, you can start to make some hula hoop motions in one direction with your hips. Making sure to do the opposite direction. Making your way back to your neutral table. We'll start to move through our cat-cows. On an inhale, drop your belly, tip your hips, gaze goes up. On an exhale, press the earth away. Start to press and round, dropping your head. And we'll go 3 more rounds, move with your breath. Inhale to a neutral table. On an exhale, send your right foot to the back of your mat. Send your left hand forward. You can rock back and forth here if it feels nice. On an inhale, lift both. Thumb is facing towards the sky. Gaze is at the floor. Start to make some circles through your hand and ankle. Switching the direction. Keep pulling your belly back to your spine. On an inhale, get long. On an exhale, tap your elbow to your knee. Not using momentum here. We'll do that 2 more times. Move with your breath. Inhale, extend. You can either stay here or reach around for a bind. If you can't reach, one day you will. Just opening your heart forward. We'll release that to the floor. Moving through another round of cat-cow. Neutral table. Right hand forward, left foot back. And finding lift on an inhale. Start to wake up this side of the body. On an inhale, get long. On an exhale, elbow to knee. 2 more times. And then checking out a bind on this side. And we'll release it all back to the floor. Press back for child's pose. You can have your knees close together or wide. Drop your forehead to the floor, roll it from side to side, come back to your breath. Coming to spider tip fingers. Start to walk your hands over to the left side of your mat, pressing down in your left hand. When you're ready, switch sides. And coming back to center. This position is available to you at any point during your practice. On an inhale, come back to your tabletop position. Toes are tucked. Lift your knees. We're here for a hover for 3 breaths. Your third exhale sends your hips back for downward facing dog. Gazes back at your feet or your knees. You're long in your neck and pressing down in both feet and both hands. And you can keep a bend in your knees here if that feels nice. Wherever you are, we'll bend your right knee and start to straighten out through your left, finding a stretch in the back of your left leg.
When you're ready, switch sides. You're still pulling your belly back to your spine. Coming back to your neutral down dog. Your next exhale, walk your hands back to your feet. This is a really nice place to have some blocks handy. We're gonna move into our flat back. Extending out from your hips through the crown of your head should be one long line. Your toes are spread wide here. You can keep a bend in your knees to protect your hamstrings. We'll be here for 3 breaths. Each time you exhale, start to hinge at your hips. Instead of thinking about reaching your head towards the floor, think about reaching your heart towards the floor. And after your 3rd exhale, move into ragdoll. Start to C-curve through your spine. You can bind your hands behind your legs. And let your head get heavy like a bowling ball. You can shake it yes or shake it no. Start to let go in your spine like a waterfall. And either stay here or bind opposite wrist to opposite elbow. You can bob and sway, whatever feels good. Releasing your bind, we'll roll to rise, pressing down in your feet, find a tuck of your tail, come up vertebrae by vertebrae, head is last to come. Reaching your arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend over. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. We'll walk out to a downward facing dog. On an inhale, roll to a high plank. You have an option to modify throughout your practice. You can drop to your knees here. On an exhale, hug your elbows into your ribcage and lower down. We'll move through 3 rounds of Cobra. On an inhale, lift your chin, lift your heart. Pull your elbows back. Exhale, release. Second round, do that again. Now press the tops of your feet into the floor. Third round, find a tuck of your tailbone. Exhale, release. We'll move through a tabletop into a downward facing dog. 5 breaths. After your next exhale, rise high to your tippy toes. Bend your knees, gaze forward. Step your right foot, then your left to the top of your mat. Inhale to a flat back. And exhale, fold. Inhale, rise high. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend over. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step your left, followed by your right. Lower down. Inhale through 2 more rounds of Cobra. Making your way to a downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. finding that pelvic floor squeeze on your inhales. On your exhales, you're pulling your belly back to your spine. After your fifth exhale, rise high to your tippy toes. Bend your knees, gaze forward, step your left foot this time, followed by your right. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend over. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Stepping your right foot back, followed by your left. Your next out breath, lower down. Continuing with cobra, moving into full up dog. You lift your knees and thighs off the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. At the bottom of your next exhale, rise high to your tippy toes, gaze forward, step, jump, or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, hands to heart center. I'm going to take you through your first full vinyasa flow. When I say flow, it's a sun salutation. It's what we've been doing. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend over. Inhale to a flat back. Step back for plank. Lower down. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. I'm going to start to find some stillness here. Inhale, rise high. Exhale, bend your knees. Come to the top of your mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. Hands to heart center. We'll do 3 more of those. Each time you get to your downward facing dog, take 5 breaths. finishing up with whatever round you're on, we'll all meet in a downward facing dog. And at the bottom of your exhale, step your right foot to the top of your mat. We'll drop our left heel. Press down in both feet and rise up. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. This is warrior 1. Both hips are facing forward. Drop your shoulders out of your ears. On an exhale, flow to down dog. Left foot steps at the bottom of your exhale. Press down in both feet to rise up. Just settle here. And flow to down dog. And 5 breaths. Either in down dog or drop into your knees for child's pose. Rise high to your tippy toes. On an exhale, let your heels fall over to the right side of your mat. You can gaze out under your left armpit. We'll roll through center and let our heels fall out to the opposite side this time. And coming back to center, drop your heels towards the floor. At the bottom of your next exhale, step for warrior 1. 1 breath this time. Inhale, rise up. On an exhale, flow. Stepping your left foot for warrior 1. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, flow. Rising high to your tippy toes. Bend your knees, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise high. And exhale, hands to heart center. We'll set up for chair pose. Looking down at your feet, bring your big toes to touch, a little bit of space between your heels. Start to squeeze your knees together and sit down. You want one long line from the tail to the crown. An option to come to cactus here. Make sure you can see your toes. On an exhale, fold. Inhale to a flat back. And exhale, fold. Plant your hands, make your way through a vinyasa flow. We'll meet in down dog. The bottom of your exhale, step your right foot for warrior 1. Inhale, rise up. On an exhale, warrior 2. Settling in here, your hips are open to the wide side of your mat. You're pressing actively through your back foot. And you're pressing down in your front foot. Knee is stacked somewhere over your ankle. Find a tuck of your tailbone. Now drop your shoulders out of your ears and engage in your triceps.
Squeezing past the tips of the fingers. Flip your front palm on an inhale, reverse your warrior, reaching towards the ceiling. On an exhale, windmill your hands, low runner's lunge. Either stay here or lift your right arm high, gaze goes with it. Moving into an open arm side twist. And you'll plant both hands, make your way to a downward facing dog. Left foot steps, warrior one. Inhale, rise. Exhale, warrior two. Setting up on this side, come back to your breath. Reverse your warrior. Windmill your hands, low runner's lunge, coming to the ball of your back foot. Either staying here, moving into an open arm twist. Plant both hands, step back for high plank. We'll be here for 3 breaths. Shift forward on your tippy toes on an exhale, lower down. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, open mouth. Let some of that heat out. Coming to the top of your mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, start to fold. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, chair pose. And start to lift your toes off the floor here, shifting your weight to your heels. When you're ready, switch it up, shifting into your tippy toes this time, lifting your heels off the floor. Fix your gaze past the tip of your nose. And dropping your heels. We'll set our hips down a couple inches. On an exhale, sweep your arms behind. Inhale them forward. Exhale, sweep behind. We'll do that one more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, sweep them behind. Either stay here or clasp your hands together. Inhale, fill. And exhale, fold. If your hands don't touch, that's okay. You can bring them to your low back, making a diamond shape. You can grab onto the opposite wrist here. Release your bind. Inhale to a flat back. Vinyasa flow. Stepping our right foot, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Pausing here for 5 breaths. Notice if you start to look around the room, and then fix your gaze past the tips of your fingers. When you're ready, reverse your warrior. We'll stay here for a breath and then move into an extended side angle. This is a great place for blocks. On an exhale, start to hinge out. You can bring your right hand to the floor, your elbow to the inside of your right knee. Gaze down, make sure your knees stacked over your ankle.
Pressing actively through your back foot, find the tuck of your tailbone. And start to imagine rolling your heart space up towards the sky. You're long in the side body here. So notice if you're kind of collapsing, and try not to do that. You can sweep your left arm forward. And if you can bind, wrap your right arm underneath your right thigh. You can reach your left arm behind your low back. Inhale, warrior two. Flip your palms. Inhale, lift and straighten. Exhale, press to warrior two. We'll do that one more time, then we're moving into Prasarita. On an inhale, reach your arms overhead, parallel your feet. Look down at your feet, make sure they're either pigeon-toed or parallel, about armless distance. On an exhale, start to hinge forward. I'm going to move to the side so you can see. Again, this is a great place for blocks or props. Now your hands are going to be right underneath your face. One long line from the tail to the crown of the head. Then stay active in your legs and your feet here. You can keep a bend in your knees, but start to notice where your weight is centered, if it's far on your toes or back on your heels, and find somewhere in the middle. Then breathe. On an inhale, press back up. Moving back to a warrior two. Reverse. Windmill your hands, vinyasa flow. And we're stepping our left foot this time for warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, warrior two. We'll be here for 5 breaths. Let your breath be full and expansive. Yoga is hard, but it's also enjoyable. Flip your palm, reverse. And then set up for extended side angle on this side. You're pressing actively through both feet. You're finding a tuck of your tailbone. Heart is rolling up towards the sky. And gaze is wherever doesn't mess up your neck. Staying long in your side body. Coming back to your warrior two, on an inhale, lift and straighten. Exhale, press. Lift and straighten. Exhale, press. This time, Prasarita, our wide-legged forward fold. You can bring your hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders back and down and start to hug your elbows towards one another. On an exhale, hinge forward. Imagine you have a beach ball back there and you're trying to hold on to it with your elbows. Inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands out wide. On an exhale, bend over. Take your peace fingers and thumb and bind onto your big toe. Let your elbows go wide here. Inhale, get big. On an exhale, fold. 5 breaths. after your 5th breath, place your hands underneath your face. We'll rise up, setting back up for warrior 2. Inhale, reverse. On an exhale, windmill your hands to the top of your mat. This time we'll step to the top of our mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Make sure your feet are hip width distance. You can mark that with 2 fists in between your instep. If you don't reach, that's okay. You can grab onto a strap or a bandana or scarf. Place it underneath your feet. We're gonna bind our big toes. So bend your knees a lot here if you have to. Inhale, gazes out. On an exhale, hinge. And you can stay here or walk your hands underneath your feet. Let your toes tickle your wrists. And if you want a balance challenge, you can lift your heels off the floor, starting with one side, and switching to the other side. Keeping your core engaged here, very important. Releasing your bind. We'll set up for a squat pose. So heel toe your feet so as wide as your mat. Maybe wider. Maybe you want some blocks and you want to place it underneath or a chair. Or just squat down. Again, feeling long in your spine, all the way from the base of your spine through the crown of your head. An option to close your eyes here. And stay where you are, or you can reach your right hand wide, left hand can go high to the sky. And when you're ready, switch sides. Coming back to center, either stay or set up for a crow pose. You will plant your hands underneath your shoulders, and then bringing your knees, you've got a slippy shirt on, bringing your knees somewhere behind your elbows, triceps, lift one foot followed by the other, gaze is out in front of you, you're breathing, then coming back down to the floor, vinyasa flow. And 5 breaths, or child's pose. Making your way to the top of your mat. Inhale to a flat back. Forward fold. Rise up. Bring your hands to heart center. Stepping to the top of your mat. We'll set up for tree pose. Finding somewhere in front of you to fix your gaze. Root down in both feet. Spread your toes wide here. Stay engaged in your legs, finding a tuck of your tailbone. When you're ready, lift your right leg. You can either bring it, your right foot as a kickstand, bring it to your calf, or reach down and bring it to your inner thigh. Avoid your knee. Press your legs and your foot actively into one another. And either stay with your hands at heart center or grow your branches. An option to close your eyes.
Coming back to crane, lifting that knee. And mountain at the top of your mat. And re-engaging here, we'll set up for tree on the opposite side. Moving into crane on an inhale. On an exhale, bring that foot somewhere on the inside of your right leg. Bringing your hands to your heart center. And it's okay to wobble. This is tree pose, not statue pose. You're still engaged in your core. And coming back to crane, mountain. Vinyasa flow, inhale, reach your arms overhead. Exhale, bend over. Inhale to a flat back, forward fold, high plank. Landing in your down dog. Bringing your toes a little bit closer together. On an inhale, lift your right leg. You can lift it really high if you want, opening up in that hip. Start to square your hips to the floor. You're flexed through that lifted foot. And bend your knee, open your hip to the side wall. Square both hips to the floor. On an exhale, set up for pigeon. Bringing your right knee behind your right wrist. You can flatten that top foot. This is going to look different for everyone. If you find that your right glute is really far off the floor, you can take a cushion and set it underneath that right glute. This might be where you're at, and that's a perfect place to be. If you'd like to go further, start to walk your hands out in front, releasing to the floor. And we'll walk our hands back under our face. Curl your back toes. Downward facing dog. Pausing here for 3 breaths. Just observing the difference from side to side. When you're ready, left leg lifts high. Just finding a stretch here, whatever feels nice. And then we'll square our hips to the floor. Bend your knee, open your hip to the side wall. Shoulders are square towards the floor. Your knee is lifting towards the ceiling. And square your hips to the floor on an exhale, set up for pigeon. Both sides are not going to be the same. So keep that in mind. Try not to judge yourself. Just be with your body where it's at. I know that you came here for an hour to breathe, and it's all good. And when you're ready, start to move into whatever variation feels good on this side. And bringing yourself back up, curl your back toes, downward facing dog. for one final time. And bringing yourself to a seated position. We'll extend our legs long in front. Pressing your hands down and by your hips into the floor. Reaching through the crown of your head. Start to flex through your feet. Your heels might lift up. Reach your arms overhead on an inhale. On an exhale, start to fold forward. Another great place to have straps handy. And then start to think about reaching your heart towards your toes. Toes are curled back towards your face. On your next exhale, start to release in your spine. Let your head get heavy. Roll to rise, and then come down to your back, vertebrae by vertebrae. We'll set up for 3 bridge poses. Your ankles are right underneath your knees, close to your hips, if you can touch them. And start to lift your hips on an inhale. And see if you can take the effort out of your glutes. You're just pressing in your feet here. On an exhale, lower down. And let your knees start to fall together, releasing in your low back. Setting up for your second round, inhale, lift. And either stay here, pressing the palms of your hands into the floor, or start to roll your shoulders out. You might bind your hands underneath your low back. But staying open in your heart. Gazing straight up at the ceiling. And an exhale, lower down. Knees can go together, your feet are wide. In your third and final round, if you have a block handy, place it underneath your sacrum for 5 breaths. After your 5th breath, come down to the floor, hug your knees into your chest, give yourself a little squeeze. And bringing your arms to a T, knees fall out to the right hand side, gazes out. Put your left hand, let go of your Ujjayi breath, no restriction, just send breath down into your belly and let go of any effort. Bringing your knees back to center. They'll drop out the opposite side this time, gazing out at your right hand. Inhale, fully exhale, let it all go. Bringing your knees back to center. We're going to set up for Shavasana. So you can lay flat on your back or come to a wall. Legs at the wall, one of the most restorative poses in all of yoga. And you bring yourself at a distance where when you put your feet up on the wall, you don't have to keep them up there. The wall just holds them up. So find that sweet spot for you. And again, if this doesn't work for you, just lay flat on your back. Get comfortable, turn your lights out. An option to find a blanket. And start to bring your awareness to your feet. You'll scan your body all the way up to the crown of your head. And then starting at the crown of your head, start to let go of any effort. Let your eyes sink back. Let your tongue go wide and let your jaw get heavy. Start to let go in your chest and your shoulders and your arms, your hands and your wrists. Bringing your awareness to the core, you're just releasing there. You're letting go in the belly and the low back. Stopping at your hips, letting go there, releasing your legs in the fronts and the back. Releasing in your knees, letting go in your legs, and surrendering into your feet. Noticing if you have the urge to get up or move around or itch. Just be with those sensations. Try to let go of control here. And bringing your awareness back into your physical space. The floor beneath you. And bringing awareness to your body. Start to integrate yourself back into the room. Taking a deep inhale. Start to bring small movements into the tips of the fingers and the toes. And let those small movements become larger. When it's time, you'll roll off to your right side, pausing here in seed pose, planting any seeds of intention. We'll bring ourselves up to seated, maintaining eyes closed. And palms face up, open to receive the benefits of your practice. Bring your hands to your heart center. With grace and gratitude, thank you so much for sharing your yoga practice with me today. The light in you is merely a reflection of the bright and brilliant light in you. We bring our thumbs to our third eye center and bow. We say namaste. Namaste, yogis. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Bye.